Meanwhile, there is this. President Trump says he has instructed War Secretary Pete Hegseth to substantially reduce joint military exercises with South Korea, saying they're costly and that Seoul is sending the wrong message to North Korea. Joining me now, Gatestone Institute senior fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, the president criticized South Korea for declining to join U.S. war efforts to denuclearize Iran. I want to get your thoughts on all of this because the president, again, is on Truth Social this morning talking about the fact that a non-nuclear Iran is how this has to go. There is no other pathway forward. Talk about the connection, though, to South Korea.
Good morning, Cheryl. Lee Jae-myung, the president of South Korea, is a leftist. He's moving very fast into the pro-China, pro-North Korea camps. He abhors the United States, may even hate us. We know this from his statements. But this is a separate issue with regard to the joint military exercises with South Korea. I don't think there's a justification for reducing the scale of these exercises. And the reason is last week we learned that North Korean soldiers crossed the military demarcation line. In other words, they intruded into South Korea. And we've also seen these other incidents in the demilitarized zone. So at this point, we should be scaling up those exercises to create deterrence. We do not need one more miscalculation in North Asia. Well,
but, we've only got, 11 aircraft carriers, Gordon? I mean, I think it comes down to assets. And at this point, especially with the controversy around the USS Lincoln, the president has to look at the bigger picture, and also, too, I mean, when it comes to China, I mean, this is where, Iran and China, that connection and that link continues, unfortunately, to grow, not reduce. The U.S. moving its final aircraft carrier in the Western Pacific to the Middle East, leaving that region without a U.S. carrier. But there's growing fears that, look, China could use that gap to project power, test American deterrence. Beijing is stepping up military activity. But, Gordon, how much of an opening does that give China? In particular, I swing this back to the Middle East with you, because the president knows, and Xi Jinping is still scheduled to come to this country next month. The president knows that the Chinese are dependent on the energy story out of Iran, and they want peace. They don't want an escalation. That is my opinion. Please give me yours.
Yeah, this is a really interesting situation because there's so many moving parts, Cheryl. Yes, the George Washington, our carrier, is leaving East Asia for the Middle East. That does create a very large opening for China. But fortunately, Xi Jinping does not trust his generals and admirals, and I don't think he trusts his military either. So I don't believe that he would purposely launch hostilities. But the problem here is that we have seen some very provocative Chinese activity, especially in the waters east of Taiwan, as well as at Scarborough Shoal in the South China Sea. And one of those incidents could easily spiral out of control. China is perfectly capable of starting history's next great war with a blunder, because I don't think Xi Jinping can back down, given what's going on in China right now, especially with the declining economy and all the knives out for him. So there's just so many things moving in the wrong direction right now. And then, of course, there's China and Iran, as you mentioned. That's not a good story either for the United States, because Xi Jinping sees that we're not stopping China from fortifying Iran in the middle of a war and helping Iran kill Americans.
Yeah, well, I think that's why this meeting between Xi Jinping and President Trump is going to be so crucial next month, because China needs to decide, do you want to keep funding Iranian terror, or do you want to be part of the global stage? And that's partially AI. Liz Peek's got a question for you. Liz, jump in here.
Good morning, Gordon. The Financial Times this morning is reporting further slowdowns in the Chinese economy. Investment is down, retail sales are weak, et cetera. And they're claiming this is going to put pressure on Xi Jinping, something we keep hearing over and over again. But the question is, does he then resort to more fiscal stimulus, which they really can't afford, or is it better play for him to continue these military provocations? I mean, it seems to me that's a great way to divert the population away from a sour economy and develop all the kind of nationalistic backing that he's accustomed to.
Yes, the Chinese people right now don't want war, and I don't think Xi Jinping can rally them because we're seeing a disintegration in Chinese society. But I think you're absolutely right that in Xi Jinping's mind, he believes that hostilities and tension are good for him because that would prevent other senior Communist Party figures from challenging or maybe even deposing him. So really right now you've got a situation where Xi Jinping, I believe, he thinks it's in his interest to keep the pot boiling. Right now, we are seeing so many bad things. And you look at the Chinese economy, the numbers that came out a few hours ago were stunningly bad. I mean, you saw urban fixed asset investment for the first 7 months of this year down 6.7%. All of the indicators missed already low estimates. This is a Chinese economy that is probably contracting right now. And Xi Jinping is getting the blame for it because it's his policies that have been accelerating this downward trend. So this is an extremely volatile situation, and anything can go wrong.
Absolutely. Before you go, China reportedly is opening a regular shipping route, and it goes through the Arctic to Europe. So this cuts the journey down to about 20 days, half the time that some traditional routes take. Gordon, I want to get your thoughts because what we've seen, and this pivots back to President Trump in the beginning of his term talking about Greenland. Just to point back to that real quick here, but this is another shipping route, but this it would be a strength. This would help China, but this would also get them away from the Strait of Hormuz. It would open up the supply chain, maybe not so much for the U.S., but it would open up the supply chain for China. Would that help them in that bad economy you were just talking about with Liz?
It certainly would, because it cuts the shipping in half between East Asia and Europe, and that means you got 20-day shipping rather than 40. And that reduces the cost of Chinese goods. But the Northern Sea Route, which is what China is using, is open only during the summer and only really between August and October. By the way, one of the great things about this, Cheryl, is that the world now has a new choke point, and the United States sits on half of that choke point, the Bering Sea, because these Chinese ships, in order to get to the Arctic, have to pass by Alaska, and that gives us even more leverage over world shipping. But right now, the Chinese think that they can basically change shipping patterns, but they're going to have to. They're just dependent on Arctic ice conditions, which can change even during the summer.
But with these new ships and these new technologies, what's interesting is you're seeing whether it's military ships or cargo ships, you're seeing that it's now they're able to better navigate those Arctic waters, and that is something that we probably don't talk about enough, especially when it comes to supply chains and, of course, military incursions. Gordon Chang, it's always great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us this Monday.
Thanks, Cheryl.